In a sleepy mountain village, a 5-year-old girl named Lila witnessed something so devastating that she stopped speaking. Not for a week or a year, but for 7 long years. Her silence became the village's mystery and her family's heartbreak. But the day she finally spoke, her words didn't just break the silence, they shattered secrets, exposed truths, and transformed every life around her forever. Before we dive deep into this story, subscribe to the channel so you never miss powerful and thought-provoking stories. Let's go in deep. The village of Marlow lay cradled in the arms of snow-capped mountains, where time seemed to walk slower, and the past always had a place at the dinner table. Life in Marlow was simple. People woke at dawn, milked their cows, baked their bread, and trusted each other as though they were all one big family. But like any family, Marlow held secrets, some quiet, some buried, and some too painful to speak. Lila was born into the warmest home of the village, the Thompsons. Her mother, Evelyn, was the schoolteacher, a woman known for her wisdom and kindness. Her father, Daniel, was a carpenter whose hands told the story of every home he had ever built. Lila, with her big hazel eyes and a laugh like tinkling wind chimes, was the center of their universe, until one rainy evening shattered everything. It was the night the church bell rang not for celebration, but for mourning. A fire had broken out in the old barn on the edge of the village. It spread quickly. Smoke filled the sky. Amid the chaos, young Lila wandered into the flames looking for her pet cat, Muffin. By the time they found her, soot-covered and trembling, something inside her had gone dark. She was not physically harmed, but the Lila they knew was gone. She never spoke again. Doctors were called, therapists consulted, and even spiritual healers were brought in. But Lila remained silent. Her eyes blinked, her hands moved, but her mouth never uttered another word. The final diagnosis: selective mutism caused by psychological trauma. A fancy way of saying her silence was her shield. Life moved on around Lila's silence. Evelyn adjusted her teaching schedule so she could spend more time with her daughter. Daniel, once the village's most social man, grew quiet too. They communicated through gestures, notebooks, and drawings. Lila became skilled in writing and sketching, filling notebooks with thoughts she would never voice. The village adjusted. The baker learned to understand her eye gestures for ordering sweet rolls. The children in school stopped teasing her and began to treat her like a delicate porcelain figure. Some avoided her, as if her silence might spread. Others just pitied her. But then came Arlo. He was the new boy, curious, talkative, full of questions. His family had moved from the city after his mother passed away, seeking peace in the mountains. Arlo did not understand the village rules or the invisible bubble around Lila. So, he did the unthinkable. He spoke to her. Every day. Hey Lila, did you know goats have rectangular pupils? Lila, want to race leaves down the stream? Lila, if you ever talk again, what do you think your voice will sound like? She never answered, but she listened, and Arlo kept showing up. She began drawing pictures for him, of goats with sunglasses, of boats racing in the stream, and slowly a friendship blossomed, a silent, loyal bond. By the time Lila turned 12, Arlo was her best friend, her only friend. He understood her silence better than anyone had ever understood her voice, but not everyone appreciated their closeness. Especially Mayor Callum. Mayor Callum was a tall man with a cold smile and sharp eyes. His family had run the village for generations, owning most of the land and controlling the decisions that mattered. His son, Isaac, was the village favorite, charming, athletic, and cruel behind closed doors. When Isaac took interest in Arlo's older sister, Clara, trouble began. Isaac was persistent. Clara was not interested. Then one night, Clara was found crying behind the town hall. She said Isaac tried to force himself on her, but Mayor Callum made it disappear. He called it a misunderstanding. Clara's family protested. Arlo became furious. But no one dared to challenge the Callums, and not publicly. Except for one person, Lila. She had been there that night. She had followed Arlo and Clara to the festival and wandered off behind the town hall just in time to witness the incident. She saw Isaac grab Clara. She saw Clara resist. She saw everything. But she could not or would not say it. She drew it instead. A haunting image appeared in Arlo's notebook the next day. A sketch of Clara behind the town hall, Isaac looming over her, hands clenched. The drawing was unmistakable. Arlo showed it to his parents. They took it to the elders, but without words, without testimony, it was just a picture, a child's drawing. The case was dismissed. Arlo was heartbroken. Clara grew quiet. Their family began making plans to move away. The village returned to silence. But Lila did not draw for weeks after that. She was changing. Her sketches grew darker. Her walks longer. She sat by the burned barn for hours. And one day, she whispered into the air when no one was around. I remember everything. Spring arrived with soft winds and blooming flowers. The annual village gathering was approaching, held in the grand hall, where speeches were made, awards were given, and the mayor reaffirmed his power. Evelyn did not expect Lila to attend, but that morning, Lila came downstairs in a white dress, eyes steady, and handed her mother a folded note. It read, "Take me to the gathering." The hall was packed. Children fidgeted, elders whispered, and the Callum family sat at the front row like royalty. Isaac looked smug. Arlo and Clara sat quietly in the back. When the mayor called for the stage to honor the quiet strength of our youth, Evelyn led Lila forward. A murmur ran through the crowd. It was the first time Lila had stood on that stage since her silence began. The mayor bent down with a polished smile. "Would you like to wave, Lila?" She stepped forward and took the microphone. The hall froze. For 7 years, she had not spoken a single word. She looked at Isaac, at the mayor, at Arlo, at Clara, and then she spoke. "I saw what he did." Gasps. "I saw Isaac hurt Clara. I saw the truth they buried. And I will not be silent anymore." The silence in the hall was deafening. He followed her behind the town hall. He touched her without permission. She said no. He laughed. "I was too scared to speak, but I am not scared now." Isaac jumped to his feet. "She's lying. She's mute, she's—" Lila interrupted. "I chose silence to survive, but I choose words to protect others." And then she turned to the mayor. "You covered it up. But truth has a way of returning, through sketches, through pain, and finally, through voice." The town hall erupted, not in outrage but in applause. Clara burst into tears. Arlo ran to the stage and held Lila's hand. The elders convened immediately. Isaac was removed from the festival. An official investigation was launched. And for the first time in decades, the mayor's power cracked. Within weeks, Callum stepped down. New leadership emerged, driven by the voice of justice. Isaac faced real consequences. And Clara was finally believed. But the biggest change was in Lila. She spoke rarely, but when she did, her words carried weight. She joined her mother's school and began helping children who struggled with trauma and anxiety. She formed a small art circle, where kids could express themselves through drawings, just as she had done. She and Arlo remained inseparable. Their bond, once made of silence, now grew stronger with every word exchanged. And she never stopped drawing, only now. Her sketches were full of color, hope, and sunlight. The village of Marlow changed too. They learned that silence does not mean absence, that quiet people often carry the loudest truths, and that courage sometimes arrives not in a roar, but in a whisper that finally finds its way out. Lila's first words did more than tell the truth. They awakened a community, healed a wound, and inspired others to speak up. Because sometimes, the quietest people are just waiting for the right moment to change everything. If you found this story powerful, give it a like, share it with someone who needs courage today, and subscribe for more emotional and thought-provoking stories. Watch the next video where silence becomes strength, and strength becomes legacy.